Coach Johnson, talk about a little bit about last weekend, how you thought your team played. They made a good comeback on Saturday night, but it seems like still shooting the ball becomes an issue for you right now.
Yeah, I mean, we just haven't, as a whole, we haven't shot the ball great this year. That's a little bit of who we are. We just didn't shoot the ball from the 3-point line very well both games. We shot 46% the first night, 49.5% the second, which are pretty good when you consider we were 2 for 14 and 2 for 16 from the 3-point line. We actually were pretty efficient inside the 3-point line, but we just didn't make enough jump shots when both the two teams, Winona made 12 threes and so did Upper Iowa. And it's just hard to make up for that 30 points in there when you're not being productive from the 3-point line.
Some nights you just find it's a little bit timing or whatever, but sometimes teams just hit shots. I mean, Jeff's went off on incredibly, and then the next night in the first half they hit their first 6 threes. But what the good thing was is even when you got down 24 against Upper Iowa, you guys didn't they didn't quit. They kept battling, and they had a shot late in that game to make even a closer game out of it. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, our team will battle. They've proven that. We've come back from a couple of situations, whether it be large deficits or deficits late in games, and come back and won games. So I'm proud of their fight and their willingness to keep playing. I just wish we wouldn't dig ourselves so many holes earlier. The disappointing thing with last weekend was just how we defended. Going into that game, we were number 1 in the league in field goal percentage defense. I've told people this. I'm not quite sure how, to be honest with you, but we were, and we dropped all the way down to 4th because we just didn't have a very good weekend on that side of the ball. And it wasn't as much effort stuff as just our execution just wasn't where it needed to be to win games on the road against two quality basketball teams.
Charles Ward really had a pretty good weekend. He had 19 the first night, and then on Saturday night he tied a career high with 28, and he was a big part of that comeback. He had 15 second half points. Talk about his play. He's averaging 18.4, right around 6 rebounds, 3 assists a game. Talk about what he means to the team at this point.
Well, with a team that struggles to score, I mean, he's even more important to us than he might be to other people. He's having a great year. He's averaging, like you said, 18, 19 points a game, but he's leading us in rebounding. I think he's second on the team in assists. The only thing that we need Charles to do a little bit better job of is just to, keep the turnovers down a little bit. But part of that is we ask him to be so aggressive and such a focal point to us that some of that stuff's just going to happen naturally. But he's had a great year from where he was last year at this time to what he's doing now on a consistent night-to-night basis. You know what you're going to get out of Charles. We just got to find some guys to go with him to play as consistently as he has on the offensive end.
Tom Acey continues to be among the leaders in the shot blocks, along with your senior center, Brian Kilpinski. A lot of people don't always talk about block shots, but you guys do that pretty well.
Yeah, and we're leading the league, and I think we have Tom's number 1 and BK's number 4 in the league in block shots. And Brian actually led the league last year in block shots per game in the league. So it's a nice thing to have when you make mistakes, to have somebody be able to erase them back there. We just, like we said, we've done some things well. We've rebounded the ball well. We're leading the league in block shots. That you can pick out things we've done well. We just need to be more consistent with our overall game.
You're getting more minutes for Zach Wessel, which probably really helps at the point guard with Freddie. Freddie Young, I thought, played a great second half against Upper Iowa, and he was another one of those guys that helped lead that resurgence late. Talk about the point guard play and how you feel about it at this point.
Well, it's gotten better every game, and they're both young. Freddie's a sophomore, but he only played in 2 games last year. And Zach Wessels is a true freshman. And so there was going to be some growing pains there. But I think both have matured. We were kind of forced to use Zach more because of Freddie's injury, and I think that's helped because now that Freddie's healthy, we don't have to play Freddie 37 minutes a game and have him, quite honestly, have to coast through parts of the game just to make it to the end of the game. And so that's been huge. There's a lot of trust in both of those guys. And those guys have a good competition. They cheer for each other when they're off the floor and the other guy's on as much as anybody on our team does.
Now, this weekend, you have one of the best teams in the league coming in Minnesota State Moorhead. I mean, they have one of the premier players in Jordan Reaver. You also have a game on Saturday night against Northern State, an in-state rival, and talk about what you have to do to be successful against those teams.
Well, they're both really good. I think their combined record something like 33-4. Moorhead's probably the best offensive team I've seen at this level. They shoot over 50% from the floor. They're 45% from the three. They're almost 80% from the foul line. I mean, it's going to be a tall task for our defense to be able to compete.
Yeah, they lead the league in all three categories.
Yeah, and if you go even deeper, some of the, it's not sabermetrics, but you go to the basketball side of the analytics. I mean, they're dominating on the offensive side of the ball. And Northern is 14-3, and they're in second place in the North, and they're one of the most physical, tough basketball teams there is around. And so anytime you have this weekend, every year we've been in the league, when you play Moorhead and Northern, it's a tall task.
So do you feel like you need to shoot the ball well in both games?
Yeah, I mean, we need to find a way to win without doing that, but without a doubt against Moorhead, similar to the Upper Iowa game, only probably ratcheted up, is if this game's played the 80s, 90s, 100s, we're in trouble. The game's got to be played at our pace somehow, which is really tough to do because Moorhead doesn't score a lot in transition. They don't push the ball. They're just really efficient in what they do. And you got to find a way to make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, their point guard is second in the nation in assist turnover ratio, and at 4.8, you don't see those kind of numbers very often. And so he's very careful. And not only that, he shoots the three. He's just a good leader for them. And then when you look at Northern State, I mean, they have a team that's not any bigger than 6'6" across the front, and so but they play pretty good defense and can score at a high clip with a 48% shooting rate. How do you feel good about your team coming into these games?
Yeah, well, it's hard to feel good after last weekend.
Right.
No one wants to go on the road and not have the success that you were hoping for. But you hope that the number 10, 12 team in the country coming in, get your guys excited. Northern's an in-state rival. Obviously, you've talked about Jordan Reaver. We've played against him for 3 years. We know how good he is. We know how important he is to their team. And Seth Bashan for Northern might be 6'6", but he's the hardest working kid in our league, and I don't think there's any question about that. He's a tough kid. He's kind of their heartbeat. They kind of go with his emotion and his work ethic. And so there's some challenges out there, but we present some challenges to people as well, with Charles and Mac, and we just got to get that third guy rolling here.
Finally, there's going to be a promotion to a whiteout, fight against drunk driving. All of that promotion is a good thing. But talk about how important the fan base is to you and how important it is to have people come out and support the Cougars on Friday and Saturday.
Well, it's really important to our players. Any player at any college or pro team for that matter, they put a lot of work in. There's a lot of sacrifice, and they want what they do to be important to the people that are around them and the people that are on your campus. And so there's no doubt that it's important to those guys that you have a good crowd and that you have a crowd that's into it. Now, we play into that too. We need to play well. We need to give them a reason to be there. I don't think anyone left the Southwest State game disappointed. No. And so we've got it in us to help that situation. But without a doubt, it's Jim Harbaugh, when he got the Michigan job, he said, "I just want those who are for us to be for us," and that's what we're looking at. This team, needs a little help right now, a little confidence, a little the ability to know that people are behind them, whether they've struggled a little bit or not. And so hopefully we'll have great crowds on Friday and Saturday, and we can feed off that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.